Beautiful day out here, but somebody masturbatory mag dumping over there for no apparent reason. All right, everybody, so I don't know about you, but I have really been liking what's going on with the like micro subcompact thing. Now that we're getting things that are easier to carry with better capacity, better controls, better sights, a lot of companies have jumped into that kind of micro game because where I live in Arizona, it gets super hot during the summer. And sometimes even carrying just like something the size of a Glock 19 can just get uncomfortable, especially if you're wearing like gym shorts and things like that. So I love what's going on. And there's been a ton of stuff coming out, like I said. The one specifically we're gonna talk about today is the Shield Plus right here. This specific one is the Performance Center model. So this is exactly how it comes from the manufacturer with some pretty cool options. Now, talking about all the other companies out there are a bunch of them. You got everybody from Taurus coming into the game with the GX4. You've got the RDP right here from the people over at Springfield. You've got everybody, Glock, of course, their slim lines. You've got the 43. You've got the 43X right here as well. And you've got all kinds of other models out there. So there's just a lot of good stuff out there. It's really a good time to be a new purchaser or even maybe clean out some of that old stuff that you don't carry and get into some things that might be more comfortable for you. Now, I don't know about you, but comfort is a big thing for me because if you're more comfortable, you're more likely to carry. And I'm an advocate for people carrying everywhere they go as long as they legally can. That is a very big deal for me. Now, something I want to address right up front is it is not nearly as easy to run this as like a full-size pistol, whether it's an M&P or a Glock or a SIG or anything. It's smaller, a little bit more cumbersome, and you do have a little bit more recoil to manage because it doesn't have all that weight, doesn't have all that size. Some people think that that's one reason to completely stay away from them. I'm going to be addressing all of that in a very soon video talking about why micros get a bad rap and kind of working through those things because you should be training with all of these things if you are carrying them. But that is something that always comes up anytime you're talking about a micro compact. So if you didn't know that, now you know that, and like G.I. Joe used to say, knowing is half the battle. Let's go ahead and get a good up close look at that thing, talk about the options, the specs, all that stuff, of course, do some trigger pulls, talk about how that trigger works because it's a whole new trigger in there as compared to previous M&P offerings. Not how it functions, but the actual trigger shoe itself. And it's way better than that hinge trigger that Smith was putting out for way too long, in my opinion. So we're gonna get into this pistol right now. All right, let's go ahead and get into the M&P Shield Plus in the Performance Center model. Talk about what we get. Now, if you're one of those people that enjoy the specs, I'm gonna list those right over here so I don't have to read them off for you. You can look at them in your leisure while we go through what comes in the box right here. So you're gonna get, obviously, your Shield Plus. You're going to get one 13 round and one 10 rounder, both with high vis followers. You'll get a fancy, well-to-do cardboard box, a blue plastic bag, lock, chamber flag, and then you will get what is a Smith & Wesson branded cleaning kit right here. So that is what's going to come in the box. We will go ahead, do away with this, and get on with everything else that comes with our pistol right here. Taking a good solid look at what we get here. So now that you know what it comes with, these two mags, this is my buddy's, like I said. So if it came with any other little part I didn't know about or didn't mention, let me know in the comments down below. So from Magwell to Muzzle here, let's go over this thing in pretty good detail and talk about what we're gonna have here. So 10 rounder and a 13 rounder. I'm loving the capacity on what they're doing right now with all of these smaller setups that are easier to carry in hot climates or with minimal clothing. These magazines have that kind of traditional sleeve around them right there, but that texture is the same as the texture on the grip on the M&P, which is what I think one of the best textures out there as far as the factory stippling and texture. So talking about this pistol from the Magwell to the muzzle, from that feeder to the spitter end of it, you're gonna see that traditional M&P texture, which is, again, great. It's gonna be all the way around, very minimal line work, then the M&P logo right there. Give you guys an idea. That's the size of this thing in my hand. That's kind of how my hand fits on it. My pinky will hang off. You can see how much is left. And then with the bigger mag, perfect fit, just like your girlfriend told you. So good stuff going on there. Moving up from there, you will see that same texture on the magazine release. Awesome, very positive right there. Good area up in here for the web of your hand to get into. This is the manual safety version. That's your thing, that's your thing. You have your spot right there for your serial number, and then moving forward, we're gonna have that kind of traditional looking M&P trigger guard right there, but we get that new trigger. Now we're gonna come back to that trigger because I'm gonna talk about how it works, and we're gonna do trigger pulls because you guys are gonna wanna know what the trigger pulls are. Slide, stop, slide, release. It is single-sided, as you can see. Takedown lever, and you can see my buddy just beat up that pin right there. That was not me. So moving forward, no rail on this one, kind of nicely, you know, rounded off in this area. Good stuff going on there. Getting up into the slide, we're gonna have those traditional logos, the traditional kind of fish scale serrations. It says Performance Center, 9 Shield Plus, M&P logo. Very minimal kind of serrations up there, but it's enough to get your fingers onto and work that slide. Not gonna be a problem. Use your man hands, right? Coming up over there, you'll see those nice ports, and that barrel is ported in there. I don't know if you'll be able to make it on a camera, but the slide is ported and the barrel is ported as well. Gonna help you with recoil management. Looking at it from the top down, we've got the Christmas tree style sights, pretty long fiber optic tubes in there. Red in the rear, green in the front. So Santa called all the reindeer, and this is coming out close to Christmas, so Merry Christmas to everybody out there as we're talking about these sights in red and green. Coming on the opposite side, or backplate. Backplate actually kind of has the same texture that the grip does, which is pretty cool. Same mirror image with the serrations front and rear. Got that big, nice long extractor that Smith is kind of known for. You do have that port right there, so you can see if you have a round in the chamber. Pretty easy to use. And you can see kind of the wear on this, and he's got a pretty good amount of rounds through it as well. That's pretty much it from the outside. So let's go ahead, break this down, lock it to the rear, flip that down, let the slide forward, pull the trigger, comes apart. We got a very basic guide rod and spring assembly in here. We're all used to seeing these parts. Very basic barrel. You can see the porting in it right there. Pretty good sized ports. One on each side, each direction will help out. I will leave this apart because I want to talk about how the trigger works. So in here, it's going to be striker fired stuff as usual. A lot of you have seen this stuff. So front rails, rear rails, that is the vertical extension right there of the trigger bar, which interfaces with your striker block safety right there, that round circular item. So as you pull the trigger to the rear and you disengage that trigger shoe safety, you will see that move to the rear. As that moves to the rear, it glides over that safety in the slide, pushes that up, which is what allows the striker to go forward. But at the same time, you can see what it's doing right there with the sear. Probably should grab a pointing tool for you. Right there, that's your sear edge that's going up and down right there. So as you pull that trigger, it is depressing your striker block safety right there, very similar to Glock. And then the sear has the striker lug captured here. Once those depress at the same time, that goes down and the striker is allowed to go all the way forward. Pretty simple operation. It's what we see in most striker fire setups, is some form of safety like that. How the trigger resets is pretty cool. So as you have pulled the trigger, pulls back, gun goes bang, that vertical extension is going to now interface with a portion of the slide. It's going to get pushed over to the side, and watch that sear pop up. Ooh, wrong side, right there. So do it again. Once this gets pushed over, you'll see that sear pop up as that slide comes back forward, captures that lug on the striker right there, and that is what resets your trigger. And then you can see in here, that nice little section of the slide right there is what is making that all happen. Well, now that you know that, let's go ahead and do some trigger pulls on this bad boy so you guys will understand kind of what it is pulling at. So good amount of take up here, not too much, not the best, not the worst. Nice defined hard wall, almost no creep, and a break. So we'll do that again real slow for you. So right here, there's your wall, it just breaks. So not all the creep that you may be used to in other types of striker fired pistols. Now you can see the trigger shoe safety, and there's quite wide. Now it does not go 100% flush, but the part that your finger is actually touching is so wide that you don't feel the sides of the trigger shoe. So it is a good feeling trigger overall. Let's go ahead and do some pulls. And I have no idea what it's gonna pull at because I have not done trigger pulls on it, but it feels around 5.5 pounds to me, which is realistically something in this size category should probably be at. So we're a little bit over, probably 5 pounds and about 10 ounces right there. Pretty close. We'll kind of see what we get here. And I'm trying to pull right in the center of this one. So again, right there, 5 pounds and about 4 ounces on that one. And I will do a couple where I pull one high right now to kind of show you where you place your finger. If you get it super high, kind of show you how the weight goes up. So that one was over 6.5 pounds. And now I'm gonna pull really low to kind of show you, try to get your finger lower on that trigger, what can be accomplished by doing that. So we'll go in that area right there. And you will see that it goes down to about 4 pounds and 12 ounces. So quite a dramatic difference depending on where you can get your finger. So if you can get your finger low and drag it across the frame, get low, baby, just like the song says. So let's talk about, did I have any issues with this? Is there anything I would change, and what's this thing gonna cost you? All right, definitely some good stuff going on there. Now, the biggest thing for me about the M&P series is the texture. Even on the mag release right there, it just has a really aggressive but not abrasive texture. It's about the best way I can explain it. Even on that mag release, you just get such a positive contact with it. And that's a huge plus, especially since this is much smaller. It's not per se a micro as small as like the GX4. It's more along the lines of the Slimline, but you're getting that 13 round capacity, much lighter weight, much thinner profile, and a lot easier and more comfortable to carry. So besides the texture, let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly here with the M&P. Obviously, a big change for this is going to be that flat face trigger. Not 100% flat face, but you don't have your finger tactile-wise touching the sides of the trigger shoe. It's just contacting that big, thick surface of that actual trigger shoe safety. It feels so much better and breaks a lot cleaner, at least to my feeling, because I just hated the way that hinge trigger felt. This trigger is a little bit bigger, a little bit wider, and just has a better feel on the brake all around, better take up all around. And I think they did a really good job there. One thing I will say I'm not a huge fan of is the Christmas tree sights. So red and green. It just kind of messes with me to the point where you could actually see one of my eyes closing on the range. Some of that is due to astigmatism, but it kept bouncing kind of like my focal point back and forth. I'm a huge fan of either, just blacked out rear and a bold front, blacked out rear and a, fiber optic front that's on here. And that's kind of just what my eyes like. And you may be quite a bit different than that. That's just what seems to work for me. Anytime I've got all these weird different colors going on, it seems to kind of mess with my eye just a little bit. So since this is the Performance Center with that sweet, sweet ported barrel right there that you saw up close, it does make a difference. So that porting on there, that compensation is going to help you out on the range because it's going to disperse those gases up and out. Very dark environments, you might get a little flash. Trust me, I've run comped guns for a long time. It's not going to be that big of a deal. Some people blow that stuff way out of proportion. I ran a 21C for a very long time. That's a big round with a lot of flash. I was just fine shooting in the darkness, trust me. Other than that, did I have any issues, or how was the total overall performance? I like the way the thing performed. The grip on it is great, and I generally have a little bit of an issue with the M&Ps kind of slipping forward over the trigger guard because it's much more rounded off than others, and it's a little bit shorter that I feel for the size of my hands. It was a little bit of the same here, but overall, I know that about the M&P, so I concentrate on that grip a little bit better. And the performance out there was great. Now, I don't have a non-ported version to test this against, so I don't know how much of a difference it makes, but it shot well. I had almost no issues with it. And I say almost because I did have one issue just the first time I went to load it, full mag, put it in there and went to come over the top since it's a little bit smaller. I didn't want to work the M&P slide stop slide release because it can be a little tough because it's pretty stiff usually and it's a little smaller. Well, it just wouldn't go forward. It was just stuck, and I was kind of like, So I took the mag out, slammed it in again, came over the top again, and it went into battery. It didn't do it again. It was very weird. I've never had a pistol actually do that before. So I don't know what caused it. I think maybe the magazine was caught up on something, or the round had maybe gotten pushed slightly up. I couldn't tell you, but that was weird. It was odd. If you know what would cause that, let me know in the comments, because it kind of left me guessing. Overall though, solid performer. I like the way it feels. And before I forget, this is on loan from Mr. Big Kid Media. Awesome guy, he's local to me. I will leave his channel linked in the description down below. He's got a barbecue channel you should check out too. Phenomenal barbecue. I know we all love barbecue. Generally guns and barbecue go together well. So is there anything I would change about the M&P, specifically this Performance Center or the Shield size, the Shield Plus? There's a couple things that I can think about. One, I don't need the safety. This is the safety version. If you're into the safety, that's your thing, run it. There are versions with it, there's versions without it. The only other thing that I would really say that I would change is one slot for a pick rail up here. Companies are starting to make smaller lights now. I'm a huge fan of having both a handheld and a pistol mounted light because positive target identification, right? That PID. Anytime you go to a training class, they're going to tell you, you better positively identify anything that you're going to point this at, whether it's a target, whether you're out there hunting. You got to pay attention to that stuff. All right, we have made it to the pound of flesh section of the video. What is this gonna cost us? So, like I said, this is the Performance Center model from them. This is how it comes, but it's a little bit more expensive. The regular Shield Plus, I think, is $553, and that's MSRP. We all know out on the street you can find them a little bit cheaper. This one was $634 or something. I'll check my notes real quick. Or no, $623. I looked this up. Not bad, but a little expensive for something this size and kind of this bracket, I feel anyways. Is it worth $600+ coming to something this size? I don't know. You got to be the judge on that one. You're ultimately going to be, or not going to be, the end user of any of these things that I've showed you. And if you're interested in any of those other ones, I'll leave the links for those videos down below. You can check them out. All the videos on those ones are up, and you can kind of get a good idea, should you be in the market, which one might suit your needs better, or which one might suit your budget just a little bit better as well. But as always, everybody, you got to put your butt in the seat. It's like buying a car. You've got to get these things in your hand, test them out, see if it's going to fit you, how you carry, how you shoot, what the angles of your wrists and body, the strength of your hands, all of that stuff comes into play. People with weak wrists or not good recoil management may not be into carrying a pistol that's this small. So best advice I can always give you, always test it out. Don't take anyone's word for it on a whim and just buy something. Test things out, at least put it in your hand. Well, that is what I have for you all today. Make sure you guys get subbed up, get belled up, turn those notifications on. If you guys want to support the channel in any way, massive thank you to all of my Patreons. You can check the Patreon out. You can check out Shall Not Comply Clothing. They handle all the merchandise for the store, from shirts to patches and everything else. Super cool people over there. They do it for me, Johnny B, Gun Collective, just a bunch of other channels. Paul Harrell, Reno May out there in Cali. A lot of good people over there with S&C now, so that is pretty cool. Also, there is a P.O. box down below. I've had a couple of people message me or leave me a comment. They wanted to send in something, whatever it was. So that's down there in the P.O. box in the description. You can check that out if you are interested. Just be careful what you send through the mail. Don't send anything you're not supposed to send, all right? So you guys get out there, have some fun on the range, check these things out. Remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. I will definitely see you guys on the next one.